Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Happy Hacks. Today is an interesting one. Normally I do an episode because I feel really inspired to share something that I just know is really going to help people. But today's a bit different because I was meditating and something came through for me that was really powerful. And I almost feel like an obligation that I need to share this in case, well, I'm sure it will be helpful for other people. It's once again peeling off another layer of vulnerability, which is both exciting from a sort of an inner growth perspective and also incredibly terrifying for my ego. But let's go. So it is Good Friday today. And I was just literally sort of meditating this morning and then thought, oh yeah, it's bank holiday, it's Good Friday. Oh, perhaps I should send up a little prayer of thanks. I've mentioned before a tiny little bit of background about faith, and my experience. Very small update, whatever you want to call it, background again, because you might not have caught whichever episode it was where I talked about it before. I was sort of raised Christian, not in any kind of extreme way, just went to church on Christmas and occasionally at Easter. Typical sort of Church of England. And then when I was 15, a non-denominational pastor and a bunch of people from the choir came to my school and, just did a little talk. And I felt something that I'd never felt before, and an absolute pull to go to this church and to hear more, because I could just see that there was something that they had unlocked for themselves, which I could just the joy and the happiness and the peace that was coming from these people just drew me a little. So I went along and did that for 2 years because we went to the church. I then stopped boarding at school because I was half an hour or so away from that church at the time. It just so happened that life changed and I ended up living back at home so I could go to this church. It wasn't for that reason, that's what happened. And so as a byproduct, I was able to go. And went for 2 years, but then when I went off to university 2 years later, I decided, maybe it was 3 years, doesn't matter. I decided that I'd kind of had as much as I could take of what also came with that kind of community, which was an awful lot of pressure to only hang out with people from the church and do things with people from the church and literally just be at church all the time. And there was lots of talk of, you can't sort of have secular friends and that kind of thing. I mean, I could be slightly misremembering because I was only a teenager, 15 at the time. But anywho, when I left that church and went away to university, like hours and hours and hours away, I didn't go and look for another church. I felt like I didn't really need that for myself. But my connection, my relationship and my direct almost conversation to God just never stopped. And in fact, has only got stronger and stronger through the years since then, as I have just drawn on my own relationship. And what I just fell into was a natural state of gratitude, which now I'm doing all this inner work and looking into things that can be a bit woo or spiritual. I'm discovering how gratitude is absolutely key. And it just naturally came out of me. I just noticed that so many people just weren't noticing the good that they had in their lives and were only ever moaning about what they didn't have in their lives. And I think, gosh, this is so crazy. I'm going to make sure that I am grateful for everything because I'm seeing this like a mirror and I don't want to do the same thing myself. And so this constant sort of conversation of thanks only strengthened this relationship that I've had with God. So that's just a little bit of background to bring you to this morning. So I'm doing my meditation, hang on. And I think to myself, oh yeah, it's Good Friday, so I send up a little thanks. Thanks for dying on the cross. I'm still figuring all this stuff out. I'm pretty sure there was a Jesus that died on the cross. I feel it in here, but do you know what I mean? That kind of, I'm sure so many of you kind of have that sort of like, I know it one day and then the next day, like, yeah, I think that's what this is all about. And then I've had this whole, how can you be spiritual and start noticing things like angel numbers, feathers everywhere, shivers whenever I, find a feather or have these thoughts that that are really impactful, and then I get literally goosebumps, which I've read in spiritual texts is a sign that, the angels are telling you what you're thinking is right or what you know is true. And so I'm like, how does that correlate with then believing in God and Jesus and stuff? So, I've had this whole kind of like experience of trying to meld the two and discovering actually there are so many people out there that completely meld the two. My goodness, there are whole churches that are spiritual and completely believing in God. But anyway, I was having a bit of a moment this morning. And then, now I get this, and I'm starting to realise it might be a bit of a spiritual thing. I get when I'm meditating and when I'm talking to God or my inner being or whatever it is I'm talking to, I get smells that seriously mean something to me. And I suddenly got this smell, which I never spray in the room that I was sitting in, this pomegranate method. Oh, God, it smells so good. And that's interesting because I was just thinking about the fact that yesterday, and this is connected to the story, that when I got given this, so I opened up my my sort of Sticks and Ink studio online. I think it must have been like 3 years ago now, and having done it at home for a while, I then moved into a studio. And it was actually, well, I've always been honest about this, I don't say actually in terms of guess what, really. But what it was just a shed in my friend's garden. But that felt to me like I actually had an external place where I had a studio, and I was working really, really hard on my self-worth, that I was an artist and calling myself an artist at the time, because this is sort of, right at the beginning of my journey as an artist. And just moved into this studio, and Method sent me a whole bunch of cleaning products. I'd tagged, I don't know if I tagged them in. I don't know how they saw. I hadn't tagged them in. I was talking about cleaning my studio. I can't remember how it came about, but anyway, they saw me talking on Instagram stories about how I make such a mess, and they gifted me with a bunch of stuff. And this is the first thing that I cracked open from that gift. And when it arrived at my studio, I felt validated that I'm an artist, that Sticks and Ink is a real thing, it's a business, that people are treating me in an influencer type way, gifting me stuff. Oh, therefore I must really feel validated that Sticks and Ink is a thing. And since then, whenever I smell this smell, and I've only ever kept this one at the studio, I've got other ones that are at home that smell completely different, but whenever I spray this, I somehow locked in the first time I sprayed it and I had those feelings, that feeling of validation. And so when I smelt this smell this morning, I made notes, you'll get used to this. What happened? I thought about how, oh yes, that smell makes me feel validated. Hang on, I really need a tissue. I'm going to go off camera to just wipe my nose. I'm coming back, I promise. That's better. Right. I smelt the smell. So I did the meditation. I sent up a prayer of thanks, and I smelt this smell, which obviously couldn't come from anywhere. And I thought to myself, oh yes, yeah, that smell always makes you feel really validated, doesn't it? I love that now my studio's at home, I get to smell that smell more and feel that feeling more. And then what did I hear? The reason I'm looking at my notes is because I heard something that was really critical and I want to get it right. This is it. And then I heard, and I get voices that come through. I don't know if it's my inner voice, I don't worry about that. And I just heard, wouldn't it be wonderful if you could get that validation just from knowing I died on the cross for you? Sorry, what was that? So I instantly had tears, and that is always quite a telling thing for me. When something comes through, when I hear something, and I instantly feel absolute emotion just pours out. And it's literally just for like 5 seconds. But it's kind of such a acknowledgement that this is a true thing that I really need to hear. So that got me thinking about validation. And obviously challenged me and made me think, oh my goodness, yeah, why am I getting my validation from this. And why am I thinking that's a good thing? Heck, I was only just the other day when I was spraying this in my new home studio. I've just been moving in over the past couple of weekends. And I literally was thinking, yeah, this is really powerful. Maybe I should do a podcast on that. That people should maybe try and lock in that good feeling with a smell or something. And when they spray it, they'll get that good feeling. No, old Keir, that was wrong. Because making my validation come from external judgment, and this isn't even judgment, but it is. It's not the people that gave me this lovely, beautiful thing that I absolutely adore that is judging me. It's that I feel that when people see that brands want to give me stuff, therefore I must be a real business, therefore I'm respected in some small way or liked, therefore I am a real artist because people are sending me stuff to clear up my art, to make my messes clean after painting. That is where it's wrong. That is where the validation, I'm realising, is all wrong. It cannot come from, right, therefore people will judge me in a positive way that makes me feel good. Right, now I feel validated. Now I can feel comfortable going around feeling like I'm an artist. And every time I spray this, I get that lovely hit of that moment that somebody sent me something for free and therefore I felt validated in my brand new studio in the shed at the bottom of somebody's garden. It's all just garbage. It's all just rubbish. So it got me journaling a lot of pages about validation. Should we see what comes up? Because I knew some real nuggets came up. And sorry, you're going to have to bear with me. Because I'm dyslexic, I can't possibly remember what I want to say. And because it's Good Friday morning, I want to get out in the forest and have a walk. I don't have the time or don't have the inclination to write myself a load of notes and put them behind the camera and read from them. And also it doesn't kind of come as naturally when I do that. I sometimes cover more and think, yes, I've remembered more, but I like just free talking. But you're going to have to let me look at my book. So what did I come up with as a result of realising I am still validating myself from the wrong sources? I'm not doing it all the time. I have a huge amount of self-worth that comes from believing or knowing that I am a soul in a body having a human experience rather than I'm a human being having a bit of a spiritual experience. I believe it's the other way around. And so a lot of my self-worth comes from that, but I seem to, obviously, because it's natural, because I'm human, I have an ego and I have a mind, I drop out of that every now and then, or maybe more than every now and then, whatever, who cares? And so I wanted to journal this out to rewire my mind to not validate myself on a beautiful pomegranate bathroom spray. It's not a bathroom spray, multi-surface spray. Get it right here. I don't want to do that anymore. And I have found that the only way to rewire my brain isn't just to acknowledge, I've been getting that wrong, but it is to spend time working out, where is this thought come from? What do I need to do to change my thoughts? And sorry, if you keep hearing a tinkling bell, my cat is just jumping on and off the windowsill, in and out as he does. So anyway, what did I come up with? Oh, yeah, I wrote this down. Just before this download or whatever you want to call it happened, I was doing a Deepak Chopra and Oprah Winfrey I don't think I need to say Winfrey. We know who Oprah is. TM, Transcendental, I think I've said that right, meditation thing. They do a free 21-day thing. By the time you've heard this, it'll be gone. But I was doing that, and in it, it's brilliant. Whenever they do those, by the way, you should check it out. It's on the Chopra Centre, I believe, or Chopra, I'm not sure how you say that either. Every sort of 6 months or so, Deepak and Oprah will release a 21-day introduction to TM meditation, and it's really, really good. And it's lovely because Oprah starts off talking and gives you some amazing soul food, and then Deepak comes in with some spiritual, like, mic dropping moments, these incredible seeds of inspiration, and then walks you into a TM meditation. But there was something that Deepak said this morning which completely then linked to what then came forth for me, which was, he said, I acknowledge behind the mask of appearances, which I see with the eyes of my body, there is the realm of spirit, which I see with the eyes of the soul. And that then made me realise, like, just helped me put these pieces of the puzzle together, that validation, in the way that I've been viewing it, has largely come from judgment, which is referring to this mask of appearances which we see through the eyes of the body. So what I mean by that is, I've been hoping that whatever appearance people are seeing, she's got a studio, she's doing artwork, do they like the artwork, etc., is then what I'm hoping will be judged favourably, to then make me feel validated that I'm actually an artist and this business is real and it's not all in my imagination, despite the fact that I'm getting paid and that it's a real business. There is still that imposter syndrome, because it's just something we all deal with. And I think even when you acknowledge it and you know all about imposter syndrome, hang on, let me shuffle in my seat, and you've worked through it a lot like I have, there's just always little bits more. It's like kind of pulling those roots of those crazy weeds that get everywhere. You think you've got it all out, and then you just find another bit and you pull on it and you find it's a bit deeper than you thought, and you get rid of that, and there's almost always a little bit of weeding to do. So yeah, there was that which I wanted to share with you, that lovely quote that Deepak shared on his meditation app. What next? I have such a thing with are you seeing all my notes? That I have to know all the answers. And that therefore I can't possibly tell people what I know to be positively true, because they might ask me a question that I don't know the answer to, and I'll look like a fraud. Anybody else have this absolutely ridiculous thinking? Because again, what came through for me is a realisation that I can share what I positively know to be true, and I am allowed to not know all the answers. And if I don't know all the answers to everything, I'm definitely not a fraud. That is just imposter syndrome, social conditioning, and my ego just getting a bit out of control, as it does for all of us, right? What did I write down here? I can feel validated because it's the realm of spirit that I'm here for. I mean, it really is. I believe I'm a spiritual being here, having a human experience, learning lessons, growing. I still don't know how you finish the end of that sentence. I'm still learning, but, sorry, fly, get out the camera. But that's where I'm at. And so I totally feel like I am not here for the outward appearances and the judgment of others. I'm here for my own soul experience. I'm here for my lifetime, and that's all that matters. And if I let my mind and the thoughts and the judgments of others get in the way, well, I was going to say two things. If I let them get in the way, I'm not going to do what I'm here for, which is awful. And if I let it get in the... I've lost that other part of my thinking. Doesn't matter. Sorry, this is what I'm like. You just got to keep with me if you are new to this, or new to me, because this is how it is when I'm trying to talk, but my dyslexic brain just kind of mashes it all up a bit. Anyway, I went on to then write, I don't need to judge myself or others on what I say or believe. I and everyone else is just figuring life out for themselves, and I'm just figuring it out for myself. Therefore, no one actually knows all the answers. Now, you might just go, oh, that's obvious. But you might, like me, just go, oh yeah, that's obvious. Like, why do I actually feel like I need to know all the answers when I know that nobody else has all the answers? I can look at the biggest, most incredibly inspiring thought leader and realise they don't know all the answers though, and they'll be the first to say, I'm learning. Like, no one says, I know absolutely everything I'm done. Everyone, even the biggest thought leaders will, I've seen so many of them say, I'm learning every day. You never stop doing the work. So beating myself up that I don't know everything is just garbage and lunacy. Yeah, this came out. I'm validated as being me and having my experience, because that's the whole point. It's difficult when I read things back because I think I put the intonation in slightly the wrong place, but hopefully you're getting the idea. I've said all this. Hang on, sorry. Yeah, this was quite a strong one. I am validated not because of outward appearances, but because I'm a soul in a body. All souls are validated. I feel like I'm an awake soul in a world of largely asleep souls who judge other souls because they're asleep, and that's okay. But therefore I do not need to feel validated by other souls. I'm validated only by my creator. Other humans, awake humans even, do not validate me. Hang on, the cat is moving the whiteboard, which is stopping the glare. So in a moment we might have a cat, a whiteboard and a glare jump into the shot, but we'll see. Oh, you're coming that way, you pancake. This one got me. The only validation that should exist is love. The love that connects us all and that is the lifeblood of all that exists. This is sort of my free writing where I don't even feel like it's me talking. The words just come out. I thought that was beautiful. And if I'm not treated with love, I can forgive that. Because treating everyone with love is the biggest challenge. I don't do it. I would love to get to that point. I mean, I guess it's only Jesus that ever did, right? If you believe in other things, just, allow that bit. I'm not saying this because everyone has to believe the same. It's just what's flowing out of me. So therefore, I'm validated simply because I exist. I can just sit in a chair here and share with you my experience, and that's enough. I don't need you to judge me, and I don't need to worry about what you think in order for my feelings and beliefs to feel validated. Or for me, it's not so much my feelings and beliefs. I don't think I'd ever worry about that. It's more that do I feel that you're judging me that I am validated as a podcaster or as someone that should be doing something called happy hacks, that kind of thought. I don't need to do that. I'm validated just because I exist. Are you getting this? Doesn't matter if you're not. I might be losing some of you. Some of you might be there going, what next came out? And conditioning tells me, like social conditioning, that I need to be validated by the judgment of others to feel like a real artist. But my deep knowing says that I can paint, I can have an account called Sticks and Ink, I can have a podcast called Happy Hacks, I can do whatever I feel like doing without ever looking for judgment from strangers to tell me that I'm doing okay. Because that's irrelevant. I'm always doing okay because all I need to do is be on my own journey. So what came through then was just turn up and share. Share your work, don't judge it if it doesn't sell. I didn't send you here for you to sell everything that you make. Create, share, offer, allow any outcome. Drop the egoic need for validation. Just drop it. Remind yourself daily that you chose to be here and that you're having this experience for your soul to grow. And growth comes from being, with a capital B. Being as in being present. Experiencing it all and learning to remain present and be. You are definitely not here for other souls to judge you. Judge what you make, judge who you are, judge your outward appearance or what you're doing. So therefore, I kind of, while I'm journaling, I go in and out of whatever I'm hearing flowing through my pen, and then me stopping and going, right, how can I make a positive, almost like an affirmation? What do I now positively believe to be true? Given that I have listened to this, I felt a shift in my soul and a different change of perspective. How can I now write this down so that when I feel like I'm slipping into that old thinking, I can immediately bring myself back? So I wrote out, this is an interesting full-on one. I am validated by the fact my creator died on the cross for me. I am internally validated by love, for I do not need external validation. I am enough. Sticks and Ink is not me. It's a channel that I use to share my experience with other souls. I do not need Sticks and Ink to feel real or feel respected or like a real business, whatever that is. It's simply my means of communicating with the world. That is all. At the end of the day, God will command how many followers I have, who sees it, what comes of it, and I need to let that go. I don't have an enormous amount of thing around numbers of followers or what have you, but I do sometimes feel when I see how 3,000 people used to see each post I do and now 500 people do. And out of that, only 10% are actually being shown it, or whatever it is. I see my numbers like just getting squeezed. Then it's not the ego, but my mind that knows marketing and stuff goes, right, therefore you need to do X, Y, and Z to, to be able to get your content seen by more people. So that's so I don't have a massive thing about the followers. I just have this kind of like, oh, I should be doing this because I know how to do this better. But clearly what came through today is I just need to let that go. And I actually asked, I was like, well, how often should I post when inspired? And that's what I always do. I don't know why I sometimes slip back into my mind thinking, I know how to do this better. Because it's true that when I should only post when I'm inspired. And when I do, the results are often like amazing. And I'm not even trying to do it for results because I'm just inspired. The right people will see it. I promise you. That's what came through. Oh, yes. And then when it gets into capital letters, I'm being told some serious stuff. So I'm nearly through. This is what then came through. However many paintings I sell, however many people judge me to be clever or not clever, it is not what this human experience is about. It is about being, experiencing, living as a human, stretching, growing, learning. It's all for your soul's growth. None of it is for your ego. None of it. Be you, share, be vulnerable, be wrong, be sorry, be a servant, be love, just be love. So definitely ticked off be vulnerable in sharing all this with you today. But I think validation is hugely driving our decisions in life. So if by sharing this experience with you, I can help one person to not be validated by other people's judgment of them or what they're doing or anything connected to them, then that feels really good to have shared this today. And also actually saying it out loud, I suppose from a completely selfish perspective, it just helps get it all in there again. So as usual, if this podcast episode resonated with you in any way, please feel free to hop on over to my Instagram account to the post pertaining to this episode and drop me a comment. I've said that a few too many times, haven't I? Maybe I need to change my wording. But yeah, dive into the conversation if this resonated with you, because clearly that's what this is all about. Learning, sharing, growing, experiencing, and overall being with love. So lots of love on this Good Friday. Hope you're having a lovely day, whatever you end up doing, or if it's not Good Friday when you watch this, I hope you have a lovely day and you get outside and you enjoy some nature and do something for yourself. Take care.